what is psychedelics in terms of a medicine, or I call it the greatest gift of nature. Nature doesn't want anything back. My motivation in my personal journey was health and healing and curiosity. Ketamine is an amazing gift to humankind. My own psychedelic story that has actually started quite a while ago. It was 2017 when I was traveling the world for 2 years to find healing for my tumor I had in my brain. It's called gigantism, so you can imagine my life was really gigantic on all levels. And I was very curious to find natural healing. So I was working with healers in different parts of the world, for example, Tibet, Malaysia, some shamans from Italy, another one from the UK. And I went to Costa Rica to do Iboga, and Iboga is the great-grandfather of ayahuasca. So can you believe I started with the most potent psychedelic out there, and I had literally no idea what it will be like or what I have to expect. Over all the year or all my experience, maybe the secret I had, or the pleasure or the privilege I had, I was never fearful of it. And I can only say in my personal experience that was the main requirement before one goes into even thinking about psychedelics. I don't want to go too much into the story of Iboga. For me, it's more what is psychedelics in terms of a medicine, or I call it the greatest gift of nature. The greatest gift of nature means it's a shortcut to get to know who you are, and maybe also to get to know what is your trauma, in my case, or where is your life imbalanced. Because it's nature, that's always what I say, nature doesn't want anything bad for us. I haven't found anything. Prove me wrong if you have found. Nature just shows how the reality is, and that's with psychedelics. So if my reality is here, or my expectation is here, and the reality is here, of course I will be disappointed. So I would say, out of my experience, being open to it and listening to the intuition. So it was, for example, 2 years later, I wanted to do ayahuasca for 2 years, and it never happened. I was in Brazil, I was in many rainforests, and it could have happened, I would say, 10 times, and it didn't feel right. It was not the calling. And then ayahuasca was calling. It was summer 2019, and I had tickets for Burning Man with the most amazing people and inspiring entrepreneurs. Everything was booked, flights, the camp, everything. And then I believe it was 2 days before I left, my intuition was telling me I have to stay in Switzerland and cancel a trip. So I called my friend and I was like, I'm not coming. Everybody called me crazy. And then a day before, I remember it was the 30th of August, 19. So the day before, that day I saw there is an ayahuasca retreat, and literally my body was pulling me there. My mind was like, no, it was in a very snobby village in Switzerland. I could have done it in the jungle many times. Why I do it in the most snobby village in Switzerland? And I went, and it really changed my life, because maybe the thing is with psychedelics, or I can speak maybe the most about ayahuasca, it is a teacher and it is a healer. And I had to do it several times to really understand the power of it. Because sometimes you get the teaching and sometimes you get the healing. It's a little bit similar with mushroom. I always say it makes us more, it sharpens the senses, beside of the visuals you maybe experience on the higher doses. On the lower doses, you have I usually have 100 times better hearing, 100 times better smell, So it's like a booster of the sensations, and it's super nice. I don't make a secret. For example, going on a hike on magic mushrooms, it is really. I had one of my best day in my life, and I had many good days. Was hiking in Switzerland on magic mushroom with friends. Maybe what I always say, as it's the most powerful gift from nature, you need to have the most powerful respect to it. And I've seen people doing ayahuasca in backyards in Rio de Janeiro every Friday instead of drinking a glass of wine, which I think it's quite stupid. It's like a powerful tool, and you need to be very respectful of it. So that means how is the setting, with what kind of people you're doing, and it shouldn't be. It's nothing you take for granted, and it's nothing you take without preparation and it doesn't need to be a huge thing. It's more like an energetic appreciation to nature. Same with magic mushroom. People are taking it everywhere for party, and I'm very cautious on that one. Another thing from my story, maybe what is good if people have experienced or want to experience psychedelics, it's curiosity. If my biggest gift, I would say I have, is curiosity, like a child. A child wants to try everything, and a child wants to experience everything with sensation. That's why it takes everything in the mouth. We forgot to use our sensation. Or a child wants to touch everything. So I would say the curiosity was a key for me to experience different stuff. It's like food. I have to experience everything in order to know what I like or what I dislike. And maybe last, I would say it's really a self-exploration tool, a fast track, or I like to call it the shortcut. But people also misunderstand. You have to do the work. It's not like it's a magic pill and all your problems are gone. It's a guidance. You have maybe 3 paths. It can show you different directions in life, but you have to go it afterwards, or you have to do the homework, I say. Or integration is also, because the energy of mushroom, ayahuasca, or other stays within the body for a while. So it's really important how you do the homework. I'm not filming this podcast to advise anybody to take psychedelics. In most countries it's still illegal, and every journey is different, so it would really not make sense that I give an advice for everybody. Every healing journey, every life journey is so completely different. I can now only speak out of my experience. As I said already, it should be a calling and not a force. It shouldn't come from your mind, I want to do in July next year, I want to do ayahuasca in Brazil. It should really be from a feeling that you say, okay, I'm in my point of life where I need some external guidance. Maybe you feel that you cannot move on. It can be like that you feel a little bit stuck. That some people, I would say, describe it, you want to go to therapy, or you already tried therapy, but therapy is not working. That would be, for me, quite a calling to try something else. Good for beginners. I don't really think we are beginners. Nobody's really a beginner. It's your mindset. It's how you build a relationship. And with psychedelics, I organized, by the way, retreats with a shaman from Brazil. I brought 50 plus entrepreneurs into the world of psychedelics, and you have to build a relationship. I always say, don't do ayahuasca if you only intend to do it once. You have to build a relationship, and I haven't seen it can happen. I'm not saying it cannot. It's more, I would say, build a relationship, and you have to most likely have a few experience or interaction with the energy or with this amazing healing and teaching qualities. Another thing, what I say, I did maybe not. You can also have a lot of fun on psychedelics, of course, if you have visuals. I remember the first time I was in ayahuasca, I was like an animal. I felt like at one point I'm a pig. So it can be a lot of fun. And mushroom is the same. And still, yet it's nice to listen, to be more present and not just having fun on this. Many people who have done psychedelics would say they understand what I'm saying. So it's more also come with an intention. What I said, iboga is maybe not the wisest to do for the beginning. I'm not sure if I could do it again. It's you're like high 24 hours, and it starts with comics. You're like in a comic movie for hours. So for me it was great. Iboga is, by the way, the best medicine for addiction. There is even a drug they extract from it. It's called ibogaine. Why I took it, I don't know. It felt right. I will also say we are all addicted, so maybe it was good for me to handle my life better or have more distance to everyday addictions, let's say mobile phone, pleasure, etc. All the addictions out there. You have a different relationship. Is there a bad trip with psychedelics? I would say not really, or I would say no. The thing is, you need to know how to use it. There are a few complete no-goes. I have seen people having bad trips, for example, on mushrooms, if they take it on parties. And I would never take mushrooms on a public event / party, whatever. It's for the beginning, you have to do it in a very supportive environment. It doesn't need to be complicated, it can be somewhere private with nice people. It's the best, not alone, I would say. And you need to have nice music. And if you do it with shamans, which I advise for the beginning, also that you have the right shaman. So it's the location, the music, and the shaman, plus the group, these four things. I have done retreats all over. Once in Sweden, I wasn't a big fan of it. Did it go wrong? No. Did I ever mess it up with psychedelics? No, I'm glad. I never had an issue. From all the people I brought into retreats, only one had a really bad experience. And the issue was really because that person thought he's already spiritually enlightened and he's already so far in life. And then he took the greatest gift of nature, and the reality looked different, so he got really devastated. And yet, when you are in the ceremony, you see you see the energy of the people. I could see how this guy looks energetically, and he looked like the guy from the Disney movie, the one, I don't know, in German it's called the Glöckner von Notre Dame, the guy in France, in Paris, who's kind of the monster living in the church. He looked like this energetically. In retrospect, I would say even if you have if one has an experience like this, if you look back, it's never a bad experience. It was really meant to happen, and it was again great that nature gave that person this experience, reality check or whatever you call it. Bad trip, I would also say, can happen if you are the dosage. Every trip depends really on the dosage. So don't be too greedy and too fast. A lot of people I really see, they are impatient. For example, with mushroom, it takes a while. You have to be careful how you increase the dosage. But for me, that also is really beginner's mistake. If you have the right environment, the right setup, nothing can go wrong. And even if it would, what's the biggest risk of life is that you die. There are stories around that people died from ayahuasca. I don't really believe, maybe once. I mean, the chance is higher. I don't really want to go in that direction. Chance is higher you have a car accident. So you can sit back and people can more relax about it. Again, if you know how to use or drive that car, you will be fine. First of all, it's very hip, and I don't like anything hip. If it's very hip, I'm gone, you know. So many things became so hip in the conscious and spiritual world. I'm not against it, I'm just saying, again, I said it's the most powerful tool nature provides us. My biggest question would be back why you need to microdose it. It's like, it doesn't make really sense to me to microdose it. It can only make sense for me in terms of healing or creativity, for example, microdosing mushroom. And yet, also the body builds tolerance level, so you need to be very careful. As more you take, the higher the tolerance get. And for example, with mushrooms, you need to be very careful. The body pays a price with everything you take, all the substance, either it doesn't matter what you take. So for example, in mushroom, they are absorbing a lot of heavy metals from the air. So if you take too much mushroom, your liver will pay a price. So I would never take too much mushroom, including microdose. I think over a period of time, if it helps, you can do. Again, I would advise to listen to your intuition or ask in the first place, why would you microdose it? It can be for creativity purpose. I wouldn't microdose it if you're low on energy, let's say. If you're depressed, you need to be very careful, because mushroom is a very powerful at the end, it's a very powerful substance, even if you microdose it. It can really change for the good and for the bad. So I always say, if you take the elevator down in life, it can increase those experiences. If you're taking the elevator up, I think nothing can really go wrong. So it's more like, I would ask, be very mindful why I'm microdosing, not just because it's very hip and all your friends are microdosing. It's a question about DMT. From my personal experience, there are synthetic drugs who can give you almost similar experience like psychedelic. I get a lot of comments, I will see if I now say. For example, and that's very personal from my experience with ketamine. Ketamine is an amazing gift to humankind. It's proven it works a lot for depression. And again, like I said, with psychedelics, it's a very powerful tool, and many people are using it way wrong. And I also say it's the same with ketamine, like with ayahuasca or other stuff. You need to build a relationship. So you don't start taking ketamine on a fucking party somewhere and the wrong setup and the wrong dosage, etc. I know so many people who hate ketamine because they had a bad experience. And yet, if you have the right teacher and the right setup, it can be really a miracle drug. Can it compensate psychedelics or nature's gift? Never, ever. So that's a total different dimension, I would say. And yet it can also be that people have experience with synthetic drugs and want to go next level, and then maybe ayahuasca, mushroom could really be worth a thought. I know a lot of people who actually want to go deeper in life, and it could be worth a thought. Cannabis, I'm a big fan as well. Cannabis for me is a miracle. And again, the question is what kind of cannabis you consume, who was the producer, what intent. I would never smoke weed if I don't know the producer, can you believe? I want to know the person who has taken care of the plants, because it's also a very powerful tool. So you want to do the homework before you smoke weed, and then the question is why you smoke it, for what purpose. If you are depressed or let's say if you go downwards with emotions, which is first of all nothing negative or nothing bad. I would always say healing starts when you admit you are rock bottom low. I always love to work with depressed because it's a really nice, it has a nice energy when you can admit, oh, I'm in a low, I'm not up. And I think life is anyway like this. Why would it always, it cannot be always like this. So my advice is when you are depressed, you need really good advice. You cannot, but it's the same antidepressant. I'm very careful on antidepressant because it makes your feeling numb. You become really a zombie through life if you eat all the pharmaceutical. And yet it's the same if you do unguided psychedelics. I never advise. The second thing is legal. It has to be legal. There are many countries where a lot of stuff is legal, so if it's illegal in your country, go to a country where it's legal, like I did Costa Rica, like I did Portugal. There are more progressive countries. Cannabis is, I would say, globally, in those countries where I am, it's not a big issue anymore. So it's just, I'm not a fan of illegal setup because also energetically, it has a different energy if you need to hide, or I would really not advise. That's it. And advice can be also from your family and friends or from random people on the street. It does not need to be always a therapist. I would say the most important is that you speak up. And my motivation in my personal journey was health and healing and curiosity. For others, might be something different. Every life is different. So I would also say, as a conclusion, it's nice to find out what's your motivation, why you would do psychedelics.